Brainstorming a new name. This topic comes up all the time. I know it's not easy, especially if you have to change a name, or especially if you had a name that you really were intent on using and then you find out that it might have a problem or it does have a problem. So I want to share 25 tips when brainstorming a new name. I'm going to talk quickly, try to go rapid fire because there's a ton of content packed in here. First of all, begin with suffixes, prefixes, not full words, and think about the message you want to convey to consumers. Use those parts together to put a couple things together to brainstorm possible combinations and ideas. Check domain name availability, especially if that's important for your business. Do a preliminary search of major search engines and the USPTO to make sure right away that there's no clear obstacle, because if there is, you don't want to spend any more energy on it. Narrow this list now that you've started to put things together and ideas. Narrow the list to several options. We're up to the 5th tip. Don't fall in love with any single option just yet, okay? Because inevitably, if you do, it's going to have a problem, and not having other names in mind is going to be a setback, both psychologically and in terms of the time to move forward. Consult with a trademark attorney. Order a comprehensive search using a trademark attorney on that top choice. Again, you want to have more than one choice, but now you're working with an attorney, you have multiple choices, order a comprehensive search. Then review the search results with the lawyer. Then, if everything is clean, now you're ready to go ahead and file a trademark application based on intent to use as soon as possible to start getting protection while you're building things out. Also, at the same time you file the application, you want to buy up all those relevant domain names, make sure nobody else gets them. Now, also in considering name options, you want to know about the spectrum of the types of marks and the protection that gets afforded to them. So we're up to tip number 12 here. Don't use a generic mark. If it's generic, it's not even a mark. Don't name your restaurant Greek food if you're selling Greek food. You can't protect it. You can't stop anyone. Be careful of very descriptive names. Don't name your Greek restaurant gyro sandwiches and more. That's very descriptive, and you're not going to really be able to stop anyone, even if you might get a registration for it. I love suggestive marks. Suggestive marks tell you something related to the goods and services, but it's not immediately descriptive of them or of their functions or qualities. So examples of suggestive marks are Netflix or Pinterest or Groupon, right? They tell you something about what the service is, but they're in an innovative way that doesn't smack of immediacy and descriptiveness. An arbitrary mark has stronger protection. It might be harder to market or brand, but think of an arbitrary mark like Apple for computers, right? Or Yahoo for internet service. Those are arbitrary terms, which are good for protection, but they don't really tell the customers anything about what you do. A coined or fanciful mark is one that's like a made up word totally. So Kodak photography or Exxon gas, made up word, very strong protection, but again, the customers may not know what it is that it's related to. Also want to talk to you about different types of tools for coming up with names. You want to know about telescoping words. That's when you take two words that can overlap portions of them and create a new word. Great example, vitaminsurance or Hamerican. Taking two words, overlapping them, making a new word. Portmanteau is a little bit similar. You're taking two words and combining them, and then it's not a full overlap, but it's making a new word out of portions of two words, like Amtrak or Comcast or Microsoft. Great examples of portmanteaus there. How about using a rhyming tool? Right? Rhyming tool is going to create a unique sound and be memorable, can help make a stronger trademark. Alliteration is another linguistic sound tool to use a repeating sound, but maybe not at the end of the word like a rhyme, to create something that resonates. Also, there are literary tools you can use in creating a name. A pun is a creative play on words, can create a really strong slogan or brand name, like think inside the box or paw and order, right? Those are great play on words that will create something memorable. A double entendre is when you take a word or phrase that has multiple meanings that are applicable to the product or service. So it really adds a layer of depth and meaning and creativity to what you're talking about. Another type of linguistic tool is to be provocative in your wording, to be edgy and bold and stand out. And finally, the fourth type is to be incongruous. And what that means is taking two words that don't really go together or kind of oxymorons, but if you can combine them in some new, unique, playful way that applies to your goods or services, then you're creating something that could be really strong and memorable. Believe it or not, we're up to number 25. In some, boring names are bland. Bland names are boring, whichever way you want to put it, and harder to get traction. And bold names are going to be much better, easier to protect, and resonate much more with your clients and customers. So you can read or listen or watch much more about all these topics with my book, Building a Bold Brand. That's also in paperback, Kindle format, Audible format, video, etc. Check it all out at buildingaboldbrand.com.